Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I've got a piece of night vision technology on the table. This is an ATN BINOX-HD 4:16. The HD is that the sensor and the recording capability is 1080p. The 4:16 is the zoom. The base zoom on this and the optical zoom on this is fixed at 4. The 16x is extended is digital zoom. And you can actually go all the way out to 40x with extended digital zoom, but like any camcorder, you're going to get some pixelization out at that range. But let me show you a few things about this and talk to you about this, because this is actually a pretty cool bit of technology when you consider all the functions that are in it at the price point. The price retails for $479. You can routinely get it less expensive than that. So to start with, give you some basic specs. It is 1080p sensor, so actually the sensor's in this side, and it records at 1080p. It can even do 720p at 60 frames per second for a little bit of slow motion video. But one of the things that's important to understand about this, it's not a conventional binoculars. A conventional binoculars has two sets of optic systems that go through, and each eye sees the one side or the other. What this really is a combination of a smartphone, including GPS, Wi-Fi, compass, gyros for roll and pitch indicators, range finding capability, combined with a camcorder, which can do the recording, and this is a video processing engine, and there's two LCD displays in here. And the way the thing works is these two LCD displays are what you look at. The camera is actually on this side, so both displays see the same image. The camera's on this side, and of course you can focus it with the focus rings. It's not autofocus, so you would just turn the focus rings to focus it. And it's, most binoculars actually aren't autofocus. This one over here is an IR illuminator for the night mode, and you can focus this one as well. And what focusing this one does is it alters the beam spread from a very narrow pinpoint beam to a kind of a flood beam. And that kind of helps if you're closer up, you'd want to go to the flood beam so you'd avoid washout. And as you go into more and more distance, you would start to go down more to the focus beam to be able to get out there. They rate this to about 300 yards, but you're going to see from some of the night video footage I'm going to show you that we've got some video going much past 300 yards using just the illuminator that's built into it and ambient light noise from being in the city, your typical city light pollution. But no real lighting other than this and what's atmospheric light we might have had. The buttons on the top control the various features. You have the power button, turn it on and off. You have the enter button, which takes you in and out of the menu system. And at the end of this video, I actually take you through a tour of the various menu functions. I don't go into detail, I don't try to turn it into a tutorial, but I kind of run you through the different menus and how they work. The buttons here, the top and bottom button, the up and down arrows, if you've got it facing the way you'd be looking through it, zoom in and out. So this zooms for closer, down to lower zoom, and this zooms to higher zoom. And these buttons are used for either navigating the menus, or when you're in normal operation, pushing this button will start and stop video recording, and pushing in this button will take a still photo. So you do have all the capabilities of a still camera, a camcorder, day vision device, and night vision device, along with some of your more smartphone type capabilities like GPS and everything else, all in one box. One thing I would say, if you're looking for the best binoculars you can ever get, there's many optical binoculars in this price range that, as binoculars, just being binoculars, would probably do better. If you're looking for the best camcorder you can get, then again, there's many camcorders, that are set up to be camcorders in this price range. What this device does is takes all those functions, puts them in one package, and gives you a pretty awesome set of capabilities in one box that you can carry. And it's not very heavy at all. It weighs about 1 3/4 pounds. When you get into the night vision capability of it, and later in the video I'm actually going to show you some still photos, some day vision, some night vision, moving videos, and you'll be able to see what the output of this looks like. When you get into the night vision capabilities, it's extremely impressive. I've got video where at a couple hundred yards, even closer, further out, you can see clear as day. It supports a black and white mode and a green mode. Now if you get into some of the high-end Gen 3 night vision devices, they can actually give you a little bit crisper video and they're a little bit lighter, but they can't record. The other thing about this that really makes its night vision cool is it's really based on the same technology that a surveillance camera uses. The fact that a CCD sensor is sensitive to infrared light. So it has a little cut filter, a mechanical cut filter, which is a filter that swings up in front of the sensor in day vision mode that blocks the IR. It gives you a crisper picture. And at night that cut filter moves out of the way and allows IR to hit the sensor and gives you that video image. The advantage of that is it can't be harmed by bright light. So if you're in night vision mode and you're swinging it around and somebody points a flashlight in your direction, or you accidentally swing across a lit street light, a regular intensifier tube based night vision device can be damaged. This thing might flare a little bit, but it's not going to hurt it at all. It's just going to continue to rock on. So you can seamlessly take this from night vision to day vision, not have to worry about intensifier tubes being damaged, and record, if you choose, everything that you want to do. One of the other things that I'll show you that it's got is on the side over here. Right here there's a little flap, and behind this little flap is an HDMI output, a USB output, and a place to put up to a 64 gig SD card. So this is where you can interact with it. In fact, you'll actually see the output from the HDMI a little bit later in the video when I show you the menu system. And with the SD card, that's where all your recordings take place. A few of the other things that I can show you on it. Underneath, you have a battery compartment. It takes 3 CR123 batteries. That's kind of unfortunate. They're expensive little batteries, but in this form factor, that's what would fit. I've actually got some rechargeables that I'm experimenting with to replace, actually buying the throwaway batteries. And it's got a mount so that you can put it on a tripod. The eyepieces, it's going to be almost impossible to show you anything in the eyepieces, just like typical binoculars, you got to be right up on them. But they're rubberized eyepieces. They've got nice ridges on them to get a hold of them. You can focus each eyepiece independently, and you can also push them closer together or further apart to fit your face. One of the things that's real important to know about the way this works, I described how it's actually 2 video systems. You've got the camera side and you've got the display side. It's important that when you first get these, you put the lens covers on. It comes with these little lens covers, which are not actually attached. They're not tethered, which is actually, it's an advantage and disadvantage at the same time. These are meant for hunting out in the woods, going through brush. Tethered things have a tendency to snag, so really it's meant you take these off and stick them in your pocket. But you would put the lens covers on to block the video, so you have a black background, and you would adjust these until the menus or the screen, the screen features, which you'll see later in the video, are perfectly clear. And that's important because you actually have to focus how you're going to see the monitors. Once you've got that focus, then you take the covers off and you can look at what you're wanting to and focus this. That'll also ensure that your videos are crisp. One of the complaints you'll see online with this is that I can't get video any good. All my video's fuzzy. That really comes down to somebody not focusing the eyepiece to the display first before they actually started trying to get video and focusing this. Overall, when I've looked at other people's reviews on this, really there's very few problems with them, and most of them are just failure to follow the instructions or read the manuals or understand the difference between this device and a classic binocular or a classic camcorder. If you look at the other side, now they've got very large optics meant to gather quite a bit of light, and this one is the camera side and this one is the IR illuminator side. It comes with this little tether, a little neck strap. It comes with the covers, and it comes with this little bag to put it in, and you leave the neck strap out, put the bag on it, which basically is to protect the device, and carry it around your neck. They are not waterproof. They're kind of weather resistant. A little rain gets on it, a little bit of splash gets on it, they can resist that. They're not designed to go into the drink. Overall, they're just excellent for everything they're intended to do, and the few compromises they had to do to put those features together were well thought out and well executed. And one other thing you might find of interest with them, there's an app, they call it the Obsidian app. It's available for both Android and Apple that allows you to interact with these. You can connect to them via the Wi-Fi, you can operate the menus, you can see the parallel display so you can see on the phone what's happening on the display on these, and you can even configure the menu settings, all of which can also be done without the app through the buttons in the menus. So if you're looking for a set of binoculars, for hunting, enjoying nature, camping, you want some night vision capability, don't want the extreme expense of high-end like Gen 3 night vision, but don't want the poor performance of the inexpensive Gen 1, this is perfect. I use these with hog hunting in conjunction with another device we'll be showing you shortly, which is a night vision scope. These pair together to give you the ability to track. Along with the scope, you can actually use it for the aiming in the shot. So the rest of the video, I'm going to show you some various footage of different things through this, recording, still shots, night vision, day vision, zoom, close up, far away, so you can get an idea of what you can expect to see with these. So hang on and enjoy the rest of the video where you get to see all of that. This is a cat by the pool. It's only about 10 yards away, but just to give you an idea of the detail. This is a still picture of a duck on a lake. This duck is actually several hundred yards away. He's probably 400 plus yards away. And this is the same duck, moving picture of him. He's swimming around the lake. And I started out at the 4x zoom and just gradually zooming in. I have it set right now for up to 16x zoom, so we'll get to max zoom, and it gets a little less stable, because of just being able to hold it at that level of zoom. But this duck, you can see quite a bit of detail on him, and with the naked eye, I could just see that there was something on the lake. I couldn't see any real detail of the duck itself. And then we zoom back out, and you can get an idea as he moves away. This next video, there's an ibis in a tree, and he's a little bit closer. He's probably 30-40 yards away to start with. Started at the 4x zoom and just gradually zoom in on him so you can get a little bit more detail. And you can see all the detail in the bushes and everything. Here's a vulture that was probably about 60 to 80 yards away. Started zooming in on him, and it's water behind him. It kind of looks like sky, but it's actually the lake that's behind him. And you can see all the detail on the head and everything else. And this is that same vulture just from a different angle, and he's kind of just walking along. Wanted to kind of show field of view, so even though you see the vultures well in focus, you can also see the blades of grass and everything else. So you're wanting to get to the night vision part of this. We're going to start with one more day vision shot. This is a utility trailer that I'm going to use in the night vision shots, and it's somewhere between 80 and 100 yards away from me. So I started out on the 4x zoom, and I'm going to zoom all the way in, and now I have it set for extended zoom, so I'm going to go all the way to 40x. And even at 40x, you see it starts to pixelize a little bit, but it's still quite viewable. And of course it's a little shakier when you get out to those levels of zoom. So now I'm going to take the next view, I'm going to show you that same trailer in black and white night view. So I'm going to do the same thing. Start out with the 4x zoom, and then work my way all the way out to the higher zoom levels, let you see a little more detail of the trailer. And as I start to zoom in, you can see that it's fairly stable even in the night vision mode, and I can even see the screen mesh that makes up the sides of the trailer. Blurs a little bit as I wiggle the thing around. I'm standing there freehand looking at this, and even at 40x, the pixelization is noticeable, but you can still recognize what that is, see the all the details of it. You can see the IR reflecting back from the reflectors on the side of the trailer. And next thing I'm going to do is show you that same trailer in green. So this is the green mode. Remember, this thing is capable of both white phosphorus and green. And the green is kind of like your classic, Gen 1 type night vision device. To me, the green's not quite as clear, but it is more likely to preserve your eye's natural night vision. So when you pull the binoculars away from your face, you're less likely to be night blind for as long. But it does appear that you don't get quite a level of crispness and detail that you do in the black and white mode. The focus and everything else is the same. I just switched modes. But if you can just easily toggle back and forth between them. And overall, the picture is nearly as crisp and just as usable. This clip really kind of shows off what this thing can do. There's a little light pollution around that area from a street light kind of up the street, but this is probably 400 to 500 yards away. I'm zoomed all the way out to 40x here, started at about 16x. But you can clearly see that pavilion and the details around it, along with the telephone pole and the other things in the area. So even at great range, this thing gives a very clear picture. This last segment of the video, we're actually just going to kind of take you through a quick tour of the menus that are built into this thing. So if you want to watch and see, what some of the features are, some of the menu options, and how the screens actually work, hang on and watch that section. I want to show you some of the displays and the menus that are available on this thing. And one of the things I'll tell you I'm doing is it's very difficult to pick up a display on something like this. It's meant to be held to your eye. So it has an HDMI output, and I have that connected, and I've got the camcorder aimed at the monitor. The camcorder is not too pleased about focusing on the black and white screen, so I may occasionally have to readjust the focus or put my hand in there to give it a target for the camcorder to focus. And the fuzziness you're seeing on the screen is really the camcorder not liking the low light. The display on the device itself, when you're looking through the eyepiece, is very crisp, very clear. It's not snowy and fuzzy like that. So just to kind of put in perspective what you're getting. But what you're seeing on the screen right now is several different displays. You've got on the upper left, you've got the rangefinder distance. On the left side, you have the tilt, the roll indicator. So as I tilt the binoculars left or right, that roll indicator adjusts to tell you what the angle of roll is, and it's also got the numeric. On the right hand side of the screen, you've got a pitch indicator. So as I tilt up or down, it responds to the number of degrees off level. And that can be real useful if you're trying to figure out if something's above you, below you, and things like that, especially in a hilly area. You've got the time, and in the upper right hand corner you've got the zoom. It zooms from 4x, which is the optical zoom, all the way out to 16x. The menus are pretty straightforward. You hit the enter button, it takes you to the menus, and from here you can basically roll through the options. And I'm going to go through and tell you what the options are first, then I'll show you a few of the sub-menus. But this one puts it into day-night modes. It toggles basically between day and night mode. This one goes into the rangefinder. This one allows you to manually enter the distance. You can turn the GPS on or off. You can turn the Wi-Fi on or off. Or you can go into the various system settings and configure quite a few different things. Or you can exit the menu. And I'm operating all of this by just hitting the right arrow and then scrolling back and forth through the menus. It's very intuitive, very easy to get into. I'm not going to go through each and every one of these menu options, try to turn this into a tutorial. I will just show you a couple things that may be of interest. In the settings menu, there's quite a few things you can configure. You can set up how the night vision behaves. Yeah, get my hand in here, give the camcorder something to focus on. So you can set up how the night vision behaves. The color theme, it supports white and green. I tend to find white's a little more desirable, but in the video, throughout this video, I'll show you what they both look like. The light sensitivity, and one thing it's important to know about the light sensitivity, since this thing is basically a camcorder, surveillance camera type technology, to make it more sensitive to light, you slow the frame rate down. So if you set the light sensitivity to high, you will get choppier video, but you'll actually be able to see if you're in exceptionally low light. Medium seems to be the sweet spot. And the illuminator brightness, you can adjust how intense the IR illuminator is, and that can affect how far out you can see. Set it to the lowest that will work, that will give you enough light to see what you're trying to do, kind of minimizes washouts. In the photo video menu, you have some capability to configure some of the things you would in like a camcorder or a still camera. One thing I'll note on the video quality, it's capable of 720p 60 frames per second, so it can do a little bit of slow motion type photography. In the display menu, you can determine how much of the various things display on the screen at any given time. You can set the language. Let me see if I can get this thing to focus. And you can set the screen brightness, and I have it turned way up. At night, of course, you'd want to back that down. And in the settings menu, you can configure all the different things like, get some information on the Wi-Fi. One thing I'll note on the Wi-Fi, you can't change the channel or the SSID. They're fixed. It'll display what they are to make it easier to connect it to your device, but you can't alter them. And where you can run into trouble with that is if you're home and your home Wi-Fi is on, it has a tendency to want to prefer back to your home Wi-Fi because it actually has internet access. So your phone, when you try to connect to the Binox, won't stay there very long before it flips back to your home internet access because it detects that there's no internet access on the Binox. So, but keep in mind, this is an outdoor toy. This thing's really meant to be played with out in the field, and you wouldn't have it competing with your home Wi-Fi. It also determines whether or not you've enabled extended digital zoom. In extended digital zoom, you can go past the 16x, but just like a camcorder, it gets pretty grainy once you get out that far. And you can do things like, you can see your firmware version there on the right. This has got the latest firmware. So, and then when you're done, you can cycle back to the exit and get back out of the menus and go back to the main screen. I also forgot to note there's a compass on the top, so as I rotate the binoculars, it'll give me the direction. You can turn all these extra displays off by turning off that extended mode and just basically see just what's out there. But this is actually quite useful information, especially if you're in the field hunting. So there's just a quick tour of the various screens and menus that you have in this. It's a pretty sophisticated device, pretty well laid out. Well, hopefully you found the video on this really kind of an awesome piece of technology interesting. And if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, check us out on Facebook, and have a great day. Thank you.